Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. We are here with our first Cabral HouseCall of the weekend, answering our community's questions, hopefully some of your questions potentially, on all things wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging. We are now moving into our 6th year of answering these questions, I believe. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yes, we're moving into our 6th year of answering questions here on the podcast. And just a moment of gratitude for you and for our community. It's because of you that I've always wanted to continue on with this podcast. It's something that I love doing. And I said, as long as people are listening, I will continue doing a daily podcast. And so we are now at episode 1800. So I just wanted to take a moment to just recognize 1800 shows, you tuning in, you leaving your reviews and sharing with people. It really does mean the world to me that I get to do this because I love to be able to teach. So again, a teacher with no students or no audience or no one listening, it doesn't really work. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for making this possible. And of course, for all of your shares with other people that hopefully these messages can serve. All right, we're going to dive right into the questions because after all, this show is about, these weekend shows are about answering our community's questions. I try to get to 6 questions every single day on Saturday and 6 questions on Sunday. So it's a lot of questions that we've answered, and we've got a lot more to go. All right, every time I answer them, more always come in. I don't think we'll ever catch up. That's okay. These are coming in from the end of November. This is coming in from 11/24. So again, we're approximately 6 weeks behind in answering your question live on the show. Again, for same-day answers to your questions, please do feel free to write in at cabralsupportgroup.com. That is our free Facebook support group, and join the community. Over 10,000 plus people in that group. Such an amazing group of people from all over the world sharing stories and advice and support. All right. Chris is up first. Chris says, I have candida in the gut, throat, and tongue, as well as skin breakouts. Currently, I follow a vegan diet, no grains, just fruit and veggies. When I go on a juice fast for 3 to 4 days while doing enemas, skin always clears up. When I reintroduce foods, breakouts come back. This leads me to believe that maybe I have low stomach acid, thus the reason I thrive when juicing. I'm not able to fully digest the food. I know you've mentioned HCl supplements and digestive enzymes will help. Will the HCl actually increase stomach acid long-term, even after I stop taking the supplements, or will they only help while taking the supplements? And will digestive enzymes become a crutch and my body could become dependent on them? All right, all great questions. I've definitely answered these before, but I'm going to answer them again. All right, so first things first. Yes, so much of candida overgrowth and acne and all of these things is a fermentable gut, meaning that your body, you could be putting good foods in it. But the problem is that you have slow bowel motility, okay? Or you have what's called ileocecal valve malfunction. So your colon, the bacteria from your colon comes up into your small intestine, or you do have low stomach acid, right? It can be any one of these things. And typically it's multiple, right? Low stomach acid starts actually the chain reaction. Low stomach acid means the food's not digested well enough, which means that it's partially digested when it enters your small intestine, which means it sits there longer, it ferments, it can certainly feed yeast or bacteria. Not a good scene at all, right? So that's why you need to figure out if that's what it is. Okay, then you need to work on that. And again, you can run the Candida Metabolic and Vitamins lab. That's the best one to run over at EquiLife. All labs that I mentioned, excuse me, just go over to equi.life, EQUI.LIFE. That's where to check it out. All right. Along with that, you could run the food sensitivity test as well as the bacteria and parasite stool lab if you'd like to. Now, on to your question about HCl. So HCl will increase your stomach acid. You're putting hydrochloric, not acid in it, but you're putting hydrochloride in your stomach, and that's going to be the building blocks for hydrochloric acid. So you can start with just one capsule. And you could work up to, some people take 2,000 milligrams, mid-meal. So you don't take it at the beginning of the meal. You take your enzymes at the beginning of the meal. You take your stomach acid, your HCl, mid-meal. Now, likewise, you could decide to just do ginger tea or a little bit of apple cider vinegar in water to create more stomach acid. Will your body make its own after that? Yeah, it's possible, because here's why. Your body's going to be able to better break down minerals and vitamins and everything that it needs when you are taking those betaine HCl, basically, or betaine HCl and pepsin, as well as the digestive enzymes. So that's a good thing. And honestly, your stomach might tell you. So after a month, some people start to feel a burning sensation in their belly after they take 3 capsules of betaine HCl, and they're like, whoa, what happened here? Well, your body's now producing more of its own stomach acid. So when you put it in, you're actually now creating too much. So now the next time, you might be able to go down to 2. And then a month later, go down to 1. And you might maintain with 1, or you might stop completely. So that's that on the betaine HCl. And the digestive enzymes, I've answered this on would it become a crutch? It really doesn't. I mean, they really don't become a crutch. And here's why. All the raw juice that you're drinking and all the raw fruits and veggies and any food that hasn't been cooked above 118 degrees has all of its own enzymes intact, right? So when you eat those foods, you're getting all those enzymes. Your body doesn't make less or could become more deficient if you're putting those in. It's not going to work that way. It's really not for these particular foods that we're talking about. So, I mean, unless you're taking a handful of digestive enzymes, honestly, taking 1 or 2 at the meal, I wouldn't have any issues with that whatsoever. So to me, it simply sounds like, yes, there might be a lack of stomach acid, but there's more going on down south in the digestive tract. And so that's why I would either run the labs, or you might want to just jump into. I can't give medical advice. I have to state this. I'm not giving you medical advice, treatment protocols, or cures. It's just what I would do. And you might, if you don't want to run the labs, I might just jump right into that CBO protocol and then the CBO finisher as well. All right, good question. Mo's up next. Hey, Dr. Cabral, what are your thoughts on trying to add muscle with a low-carb, high-protein, semi-high-fat diet? I have not tried to gain muscle in almost a decade, so I'm very novice, and I've been hearing and reading that a high-protein, high-carb diet is best for gaining muscle, also easiest. Any tips? I feel like I'm in your shoes when you first started. I'm looking to go from 180, you're 6'3", to 195, to 200 pounds naturally. I'm not in a rush either. The last time I did this when I was 19 to 21, and unfortunately, I went the anabolic route and got up to 255 pounds, but that's not the type of body I want this time. I know it will take much longer this time now. I also know you will say to listen to your TT episodes, which I have, but I will again. However, any additional off the top of your mind advice would be greatly appreciated. As always, love your work and everything you do. Cheers. Cheers, Mo. Happy to give you your tips here. And yes, of course, you should listen to those shows, but that's not what I will do in terms of diet. So high protein, low carb is going to be more challenging to build muscle. Can you do it? Of course. There's a lot of bodybuilders online that previously used a lot of steroids or are using steroids now, and they're building muscle without any carbs. Yes, your body is in a way more advantageous environment towards nitrogen and towards protein synthesis when you're on anabolic steroids, okay? Your body's also more anabolic when you're younger, in your 20s, okay? So here's the thing though. It is just easier. Okay, not saying you can't do it, but it's easier and it will happen faster if you add more carbs to your diet. Yes, protein absolutely matters. If you really want to gain muscle, then instead of being at about half your body weight and grams of protein per day, then you would want to be at a 1-for-1 ratio for the most part. So you'd probably want to get around 180 grams of protein or so per day. It's a lot, right? So now it's like, okay, do I really want to eat that much protein? Well, it really comes back to what's your goal? What is your most important goal? Because if it's to put on muscle, well, then you're probably going to be at about 40 grams to 50 grams of protein over 4 meals per day, or 35 to 40 grams over 5 meals per day. So that's up to you how you want to do it. Honestly, the problem is it's just digestive ability. Like, can you digest that much protein? So that's important. But the carbs matter just as much, especially for anyone that's a hard gainer, because you want to fill the glycogen stores of your muscle. The simplest way to put this is that over 70% of your muscle is water. That's the sarcoplasm, that's the fluid inside of the muscle. when you get a muscle pump and your muscles look swollen, that's essentially more fluid, more retention in those muscles, more blood flow. If you want your muscles to grow larger, which does count, by the way, you'll want to increase your muscle glycogen uptake as well. So and when water uptake. And so that's why creatine works too. So you can use creatine. And yes, you're on the right track. A higher protein, higher carb diet are definitely going to work. There's no doubt about it. And then if you are more of a hard gainer, then 3 workouts per week is probably enough, and let the body rest in between. Monday, Wednesday, Friday would work great, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday, weekends off at the most. All right. So hopefully that was helpful. Thanks, Mo, for writing in. Catherine says, I know you recommended infrared saunas as a mean of detoxification. Are there any concerns with EMFs? Yeah, that's a great question, Catherine. I've talked about this for sure in the past. I would love to just show you one show, though, and that was with Nick Pinot. And Nick Pinot, I interviewed him. I have to see which show he was on, though. So let me get that for you. Okay. Nick Pinot is... Well, Nick Pinot is on next Wednesday. So I want you to tune in to episode 1805, all right? So maybe you'll listen to this the same day, episode 1800 coming out on Saturday. Check out Nick Pinot. He is the expert in EMFs. So you'll want to check out that show, episode 1805. We talk about saunas. Okay, but let me answer your question in the short term. Here's the thing. In order for infrared saunas to really work, there has to be some infrared rays. So the issue is you're looking for low EMF. That's what you want. So when I use my PEMF mat, there's still some EMFs, but it's lower EMF, and I'm getting all of the benefits of the pulsed electromagnetic frequencies that have been proven to be so beneficial for balancing healthy levels of inflammation and other things in the body. So I'm a big advocate of low EMF PEMF mats or low EMF infrared saunas. Okay, so yes, there'll be some EMFs, but much lower in certain brands. We talk about those in the show as well, and I think they're great. I also have a sauna that has no EMFs. It's a big barrel sauna that I love as well. So I just really think that heat and sweating is the key. You will see great research between heavy metals and infrared saunas. So certainly that's going to work great for heavy metals. But overall, you want your body to sweat, and you want to induce those reactions in your heat shock proteins for health and longevity. All right. Next up is Imogen, IMOGEN. If one is avoiding fermented foods while healing the gut, as recommended by my health coach, would this include tempeh that is cooked or apple cider vinegar that is added to broth? I might be entirely incorrect, but I was thinking perhaps the bacteria would have been killed in the heating and cooking process, or maybe not. You would be the best person to ask. Thank you for sharing all your knowledge. Okay, so it's a great question, and it's not just about the bacteria, okay? So bacteria counts, but when we're talking about fermentable, we're talking about fructo, oligo, di, mono, and polysaccharides. So what we're talking about actually are more of the carbs, the sugars in there. And so even healthy foods such as mushrooms, which are polyols, I believe, and tempeh, which is fermented soy, and apple cider vinegar, which is fermented apple, that all of those things will be eliminated. However, they're not eliminated forever. They're really only eliminated for the first 3 to 6 weeks, depending on what you're doing with your health coach. If you're doing our CBO protocol, then you're working with one of our health coaches over at Equalife, and they'll guide you through that. And typically the elimination is for the first month. So hopefully that's helpful, and great question. Next up is Berna. Berna's asking, good afternoon. Our pediatrician, albeit without formal diagnosis, treating our 6-year-old for PANDAS. We are exploring homeopathic treatment options for our child. Do you work with any PANDAS patients? Thank you, Berna. Berna, thank you for writing in. So I just want to say, one, we don't use homeopathy. I'm not wildly against it. I mean, we use some things like oscillococcinum for flu-like symptoms, but we don't use a lot of homeopathy. And I've talked about homeopathy before. I have a lot of respect for it. I've read well over 50 books on homeopathy. A lot of my board exam to be a board-certified naturopath was in homeopathy. I don't use it because I can't get replicable results. So I know a lot of people refer to holistic health as homeopathy or homeopathic, but they're actually radically different. So anyway, I won't go too deep down the rabbit hole. I know what you're saying. Yes, we work with PANDAS-based wellness clients all the time. So if we go to stevencabral.com/podcasts, and we look at that specific page, we are going to find, and you just type in the search box PANDAS, you're going to find all the podcasts I've done on PANDAS. So episode 1478, 961, 953, 919, 695, and 688 are all on PANDAS. So I would love you to check out those shows, but I'm also going to give you 2 more tips right now. So the first tip is going to be to run the bacteria and parasite stool test. And the reason why I'm recommending that you run that lab is that you're going to actually see what is the bacteria that's overgrown for your PANDAS-based child. Okay, that's really important. The other one that I would run as a second lab would be the Candida metabolic and vitamins-based test. Those are the first 2 labs that you run in an integrative health-based practice for someone coming in with PANDAS, okay? Then that will give you an actual reason for making that assumption. So again, we don't provide diagnosis, we don't provide treatments, but we help the underlying root causes, which is typically some type of gut permeability and gut overgrowth of bacteria or yeast. Typically both. Okay, so there you go. That's what we do. And then if we find that, we begin to work on the actual issues by rebalancing the gut, and we'll do the child's CBO protocol, followed by a child's version of the CBO finisher. There's a lot more to it, but that's certainly, in a nutshell, exactly what we would do. All right, let's see. Samantha's up next. Will probably be our last question for the day. Dear Dr. Cabral, thank you not only for your willingness to share your knowledge, but also for your genuine passion to help people. You are a rare example to our youth that it's possible to attain success by working hard, following your passion, and conducting business the right way, as opposed to one driven by greed. I took your advice and I ran the Big 5. I discovered things within these labs that have been causing my health issues for the past 10 years. I highly recommend to anyone listening to lose the skepticism or debate and run the labs. It's expensive, but will save you so much money in the long run. Pay now or pay later for sick care. It's the best investment you will ever make. Now to my question. My pelvic floor therapist recommended a Yoni egg for a tight pelvic floor, which could be leading to chronic hip and back pain. She says I hold tension there, like some hold tension in their shoulders. I debated a long time before submitting this question, but I really wanted to see if you had any insight. Thank you so much in advance. Samantha, first, thank you for all the kind words. I really appreciate that. You know that it's my mission to make sure that people do not have to suffer like I did for 10 years. There's no reason why anybody should be sick for 10 years. There just is not a reason for someone dealing with a chronic health issue to be sick for 10 years. That's an absurd amount of time. I didn't have my answers. I found my answers. I've committed to sharing them with you. That's why I do these weekend shows as well. So I appreciate that. And then, of course, the Big 5s, the truth is this, like the only reason you wouldn't run the Big 5 is because they're just out of your budget. And I get that as well. We also have the starter kit, which is much less expensive, and that's 2 labs instead of 5. But you don't know what you don't know. You can't get well. You don't really know the right protocol for you. You don't really know the right protocol unless you've run labs. You don't. You're guessing. Now, again, you can go by symptoms, and that's okay. You don't know, though, how to customize it specifically for you without labs. That's why, again, there is no debates. I mean, there's just no debate. These are the labs that I ran, which feels like a million years now, but it's about 20, 25 years ago now, that led me to finding my answers. If I didn't run the labs, I wouldn't have got my answers. That's it. Would have just been throwing darts at a dartboard and just hoping that one of them stuck. That's it. So, all right, now on to your question about Yoni eggs. So a Yoni egg is basically a egg shape. It can come in all different types of sizes and types, and essentially you are inserting it vaginally and you are holding it there. And a lot of women use it for the energetic-based properties, the relaxative-based properties. They feel it's hormonal balancing. They feel it relieves tension. What else? And then some people do feel that it is possible to help with issues such as pelvic floor, etc. So I don't think that there's a lot of great research behind Yoni eggs, but I also know anecdotally a lot of women that have used them and really got a lot of benefit. So I am not against women using or trying a Yoni egg. It's been done now for hundreds, maybe even thousands of years. And so I would say I don't have an issue with women using a Yoni egg, okay? Women have used it for fertility, many reasons. Here's my only drawback. I don't think I would use it long term, and I don't think that I would recommend to use it maybe daily in the beginning, but then taper off. And the reason is that biomechanically, your vagina was not meant to hold a Yoni egg for hours a day, and it's not part of your human anatomy. So if someone comes to me with saying they have tight pelvic floor, I would say, yeah, you could absolutely hold tension there. There's no doubt about it. And you most likely have some level of inflammation. So although I'm not against the Yoni egg symptomatically to help, I'm also trying to figure out why so much tension. And I talk about that in my book, The Rain Barrel Effect. I go through the diet, the exercise, the stress reduction, the toxin removal. Make sure you've done those things. And then if you still feel like you could benefit from using a Yoni egg, I have no issue with that whatsoever. I just wouldn't say that it is like the thing to do to relieve whatever the issue is. It could be an adjunct. It could be a very good helper to it, but you really want to ask, why do I have this underlying tension or inflammation? So, Samantha, thank you so much for writing in. Thank you for the kind words. I certainly appreciate them. And once again, thank you everyone for being a part of this show, being a part of this global health community. I truly appreciate you. And if this podcast was helpful, please do feel free to share it with anyone else you believe it could serve. Thank you so much for just tuning into the show. And before you leave, check out this brand new offer over at Equalife. It's brand new for the new year. Right now, we are gifting you back $21 towards anything that you would like. We put it right on your account inside of your Equalife rewards account. And you can use that $21 towards any future purchase that you would like. We're giving that $21 back to you on any order at $199 or more. Right now at EQUI.LIFE over at equi.life, you get our gift of $21 back to you for the year 2021 on any future purchase. So essentially you're spending about $199. And that comes out to be, about $179, $178 once you get that $21 back for a future purchase. This is while supplies last, which I'm assuming is for this week. So check it out. It goes on between January 4th through January 10th. Get $21 back on any purchase over $199 for future use. Take care, everyone. I hope you are having a great start to the new year.